Okay, I'm here with the John Paul Jones chapter of the Washington State Society Sons of the American Revolution, Bremerton, Washington. Gentlemen, thank you for being here today. I'd like to start by having the gentleman to my left introduce himself.
My name's Bob Smolser. I'm retired Army, and I'm here to teach the next generation how to be great Americans.
How did you get involved in reenacting?
Well, I'm not really a reenactor. We have all researched our ancestors back to the Revolutionary War, and I picked one and I make an impression of him. He was the father of a number of rifle makers in Pennsylvania, and he was 63 years old when he enlisted in the militia because he sat out the first year of the war, and family groups were close in Pennsylvania. He'd lost two very close nephews, and as a French and Indian War veteran and an old guy, he thought he could be useful out there in the training end. So he joined the militia and served the remainder of the war.
What an amazing story. Let me turn to my right here. And you are?
Noah Chase.
Tell me about yourself, Noah.
I live in Port Orchard. I've been a member for over 10 years with the John Paul Jones chapter. And my ancestor was not directly involved in fighting, but he was a member of the Correspondence of Safety and Letters in St. Go, Maine. And he was 71 at the end of the war, so he was an older man too.
What do you hope the young generation, the upcoming generation, will learn from what you're doing here?
The sacrifices that our ancestors did during the Revolution to understand the Constitution and how it shapes our modern society today.
Okay. I'm going to go now to the next gentleman down. Would you please introduce yourself?
Yes, I'm Mick Hersey. I'm the Vice President of the John Paul Jones chapter, and I'm the gentleman that set up our display this year. This is my 10th year with doing the festivals, all the way from Squim and then back to here. I really involved in the genealogical part of it. Traced actually 5 of my great-grandfathers to the Revolutionary War, including James Hersey, an actual Hersey namesake, which is kind of unusual and not really known. Only 10% can actually do a last name namesake. So, and then his father-in-law, he served under his father-in-law in the Massachusetts Regiment, and then his wife's grandfather actually was a member of Massachusetts Safety and Correspondence Committee also.
So you say you set up the display. Would you mind telling our audience about this display?
Yes. Okay, starting over onto the right side of us, this is my family history through pictures. I actually have our family tree drawn in an oak tree style. Right below it is actual photos going from me, my dad, my grandfather, great-grandfather, great-great-grandfather, and the one on the far side is actually the son of my patriot. That would be Samuel Hersey. And then I also am very fortunate that I was handed down photos all the way back from 1850 to current of our family and our relatives. And then going the rest of the display are actual items to show the audience and our school talks on what it was like in the actual revolutionary time, what type of dinnerware you'd use, what types of games, school items, things to use out on the frontier also.
Let me get our next gentleman here. Would you please introduce yourself?
I'm Dan Abbott from George Washington Inn, member of the SAR. The festival has moved here to Port Gamble this year. It's outgrown our space up there, and we're actually in a rebuild project right now. So,
I notice you are in uniform. I haven't asked the others how much they paid to get their particular outfit. What did your outfit cost you, if you don't mind me asking?
I can't remember. I just knew I needed to get one.
Okay.
So
Do you reenact any particular individual?
I do not. I'm just a member of the SAR this year. So
What do you hope that the upcoming generation will learn from the Sons of the American Revolution?
these guys have a real interest in our history. I appreciate Doug Nelson and Gene Tenney, two of the members who researched my ancestry. I was born and raised in Canada and moved to the States and loved American history. My grandparents had immigrated up to Canada to Homestead from Nebraska, and I've been able to go back several lines to the Revolutionary War. And my patriot is John Alexander. He's from Knoxville, Tennessee. I was able to discover where he was buried, and the stone house there was built in the late 1700s by his nephew, and that's where he finished out his days. His nephew took care of him there at Ramsey House in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Before we wind up, does anybody have any final thoughts that they would like to add to our conversation?
I would mention that before a child in Kitsap County enters high school, that the child has had 2 hours under our tutelage. And that's the purpose of all these artifacts, to pass them around to 5th graders and 8th graders and discuss the history of the American Revolution.
If you were to rewrite the curriculum, what emphasis might you place on the American Revolution?
In this county, it's superb.
Good.
You know, they do a really good job. And we get homeschoolers and we get the special ed kids. We do them all. This year we taught 1,200 children.
Amazing. Well, gentlemen, thank you for your time.